Welcome to home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Tonight on JoyNews Prime, workers at the Ghana Airport Company Limited announced withdrawal of services starting tomorrow. Meanwhile, a spokesperson for John Mahama, ASIEDU-BEKOE, is optimistic the Supreme Court will grant a rerun of the 2020 presidential election.
They are entitled to express their opinion. We conducted our case, and we are confident that we approve our case.
Also in this bulletin, Tamale Teaching Hospital records 14 COVID-19 deaths in just 1 week.
ETH alone, for the past 7 days, we have recorded about 14 deaths.
In business, Tourism Minister Designate announces plans to roll out additional 50 million cedi fund for the industry to facilitate its post-COVID-19 recovery.
We intend to provide funding. The chance to speak today, we are already arranging, if given or not, to conclude 50 million cedi facility to help those in the sector. And those have to build their capacity and to give them money, prepare them for it.
We are coming to live from our studios in Kokomlimle on your digital terrestrial TV because we are free to air on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 144. Do stay tuned in. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for choosing us. Let's begin with 4 more COVID-19 related deaths reported by the Ghana Health Service in the latest data, capturing events of 21st February 2021, sending the total death toll to 588. 428 new cases take the active cases to 6,404. Total confirmed cases now stand at 81,673 and recoveries discharges now stand at 74,681. In the northern region, the Deputy Public Health Director of the region, Dr. Hilarious Abewu, has disclosed that Tamale Teaching Hospital last week recorded 14 COVID-19 related deaths. He says the region currently has a total of 22 COVID-19 deaths. Dr. Abewu said the COVID-19 picture in the northern region does not look good.
The Deputy Public Health Director, Dr. Hilarious Abewu, disclosed this in an interview with JoyNews at the sidelines of a stakeholder meeting held in Tamale. He said in 2020, the region recorded a total of 14 deaths, but in just 2 months, it has recorded 22 deaths.
Between January and February, on our records, which we have updated, which has not been updated yet, we have 8 deaths associated with COVID. But in TTH alone, for the past 7 days, we have recorded about 14 deaths associated with COVID in 7 days, which is the total number of deaths we recorded the whole of last year associated with COVID. That's what they have recorded in 1 week in one facility, which is Tamale Teaching Hospital. As of the last time we had this discussion on the COVID situation about a month ago, the total number of cases we had recorded was in the region of 672. 4 weeks on, the number of cases stands at 1,234.
Dr. Hilarious, responding to the burial of 130 people at the Tamale Central Cemetery last week, he said those deaths could be COVID related.
That's completely possible. Like I indicated to you on our official records, based on the kind of testing the government has approved, which is a PCR testing, which is happening at the Public Health Reference Lab. We have 8 deaths. TTH currently is doing the kind of testing that is happening at the airport. That's how come they are able to tell that within the past 7 days in TTH alone, they've recorded 14 deaths associated with COVID. Now what it means is that without this rapid testing available in TTH, we wouldn't have been able to even know that those 14 deaths were associated with COVID. So then your ability to test is what will tell you how many people are dying, due to COVID. So a number of those deaths that may be happening in the community could obviously be related to COVID.
On the current situation at the Saviligu Hospital, he said the number has increased from 64 to 84 cases.
We started with about 1 case, it went to 7. Then we reported about 64 cases. As at yesterday, the number has jumped to about 84 cases in the hospital. Now, and these 84 people also have contacts. They have patients they have worked with, whilst they were at work. So it gives you a fair idea if even at least 1 or 2 people associated with these 84 people have tested positive. You can imagine the numbers that we are going to add on in the coming days.
We're still live on JoyNews Prime. We'll take a break. We'll return shortly. Welcome back. Let's do more on COVID-19 because the WA Municipal Director of Health Services, Dr. Kingsley Pascal Nguyen, has disclosed that WA in almost 2 months has recorded 128 confirmed cases of the COVID-19 disease. 7 of the persons who contracted the disease died. Dr. Kingsley Pascal said out of the number of confirmed cases, 28 of them were recorded at senior high schools in the municipality. He attributes the increase in cases of the disease to the residents' low compliance to the safety health protocols at the end of year performance review at WA. JoyNews' Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from WA.
According to the WA Municipal Director of Health Services, Dr. Kingsley Pascal Nguyen, the municipality under the year in review became the epicenter of COVID-19 disease as it recorded a little over 30% of all total cases in the region. He said the trend hasn't changed that much, as evidenced in figures of confirmed cases in the last couple of months. 28 of the confirmed cases are from senior high schools in the municipality.
Not encouraging to state that we have recorded a total of 166 confirmed COVID-19 cases. This year alone, we have recorded 128 cases with a total of 7 cumulative deaths. 5 of these deaths occurred this year. Our schools have not been spared either, as some of our schools have recorded cases. About 28 of the students have been confirmed positive for COVID-19.
With little resources at their disposal and their backs pushed to the wall, Dr. Pascal Nguyen noted that health staff, especially frontline workers, did not fold their arms like Egyptian mummies seeking for help.
Healthcare workers who are equally very at risk to this pandemic were not demotivated in this period, but rather gallantly performed their duties professionally in the midst of the pandemic.
Well, Ghana took delivery of 600,000 AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccines yesterday in what many have described as historic feat, as it became the first country to receive vaccines under the COVAX agreement. Those were 600,000 doses of the vaccine, significantly small compared with the country's 20 million doses target. It is now emerging that government is not limiting its scope to the COVAX facility. Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. ASIEDU-BEKOE, who joined a WHO Africa Region News Conference Thursday, has been giving details of how Ghana plans to mobilize the 20 million doses with the private sector called in to help to bring in up to 5 million doses.
I think that if you look at our plan, we are looking at, as I said earlier, we are looking at bilateral, multilateral sources of vaccines. And if you look at also our plan, we are not restricted to the type of vaccine. So we are open to whether it's Pfizer, whether it's Moderna, whether it's Johnson & Johnson, whether it's AstraZeneca. Though our top priority is a vaccine that fits our current cold chain infrastructure. So we We currently, as I speak, we have actually registered the Sputnik vaccine. We are also applied to the Pfizer product, and we based on the African Union, there's an African Medical Supply Platform which was also assuring the country some number of doses of vaccines. So on that platform alone, I think that we are being earmarked about 6 million doses. And the private sector in Ghana is also trying to secure some number of doses. They're having an arrangement with the government to get us about 5 million doses, in which about half of it will actually be under the domain of the government, and then the other half will be under the direction of the private sector. So we are aside the COVAX facility, we are opening our doors and avenues. Let me say that we have a lot of interactions with World Bank. We just had a meeting in World Bank with World Bank about how they can support us to be able to procure other vaccines aside the COVAX. We also had a meeting last week with IMF. And let me say that the president is very much in support to make sure that 20 million Ghanaians are vaccinated. We are making sure that we're able to address the issue of vaccine hesitancy. And I want to stress that we had a very detailed national development plan for the COVID vaccine, and that incorporates all aspects that we need to make sure that we get the vaccines. So I think that our doors are very much open. We are very, very much relying on the COVAX facility. We're also hoping to get other vaccines outside that. Thank you very much.
Since I imagine about one of the vaccines government is procuring, the Russian-made Sputnik V, the WHO Director for Africa, Dr. Matshidiso Moeti, had to answer questions from journalists about the status of the Russian and Chinese vaccines during the news conference after Dr. Bekoe indicated government was going for one of them, the Sputnik V.
The WHO pre-qualification department in our headquarters is actually in communication with the producers of these two vaccines, looking at their data, analyzing their data with the aim of issuing, once they are satisfied with the data, an emergency use listing for both of these vaccines. So that is currently ongoing.
Joining us via Zoom is Dr. Jona Mwesi, who is a public health expert with the KCCR and lecturer at KNUST. I'm grateful for your time. Dr. Mwesi, can Ghana go ahead and procure this vaccine when WHO has not yet given approval?
No, thanks, Asha. It's a really important question that you ask. On account of the current situation we're in. I just need to explain a bit about this Russian Sputnik V vaccine, and you may know that in early February, that was about 2nd February, the results of trials conducted on this, the world's leading medical journals. Hitherto, there had been talk about the efficacy of this vaccine, but we did not know the figures. The way this vaccine works is the same way in which the AstraZeneca vaccine works, using what we call an mRNA or messenger RNA technology. And what the Russians did, which was rather non-conventional, was that they went straight away in this vaccine into their population and looking for results. Typically, you will conduct smaller trials or experiments and then scale up through to your phase 3. They did not do that. It is not standard practice. But as you know, in emergencies, you can do things a little differently. Now, I'll explain why Russia chose to do that. And I was a bit uncomfortable with it personally, but it was a gamble that they could have gone ahead and they did this, went ahead, gave this vaccine. If it didn't work, the only loss would be time and effort. But with regard to the possible risks and safety issues, the nature of the technology is such that it really does not pose any risk whatsoever, because it's just a messenger RNA. When it enters into your body, and and then your body produces these antibodies to it, and then the process ends there.
Okay.
So the argument is, if the Russian vaccine did not work, it would just not work, and that was it. Now we have the evidence clearly that it works. What people are concerned about, the authorization of stringent authorities like the EMA, European Medicines Authority, the FDA, the US FDA, and the WHO pre-qualification process, they have not yet completed. And you heard Dr. Matshidiso Moeti speaking about this.
Yeah.
So when you understand all these processes, then you come to you need to make a decision. What you need to realize is whether AstraZeneca, Pfizer, or whatever has been approved by the US FDA or the EMA or the WHO does not change the need to go through the Ghana FDA process. The decision-making point here in Ghana is the Ghana FDA. So the fact that the Sputnik V has not been approved by the US FDA and the European EMA does not preclude Ghana's FDA from considering it. They don't behold to any of these. Of course, we know that these are very stringent authorities. Okay. Available data on the safety and the efficacy of the vaccine and understanding the technology around it. I am totally comfortable. I think it's the right time to buy the vaccines and to deploy them within kind of a trial setting, collect as much data as possible. Time is of the essence. The Russians actually approached us as far back as late November into December, and we held back because we did not have the data. And I thought that was the right decision.
So once FDA has approved, that should settle the matter. I'm grateful for your time. Dr. John Amoesi is a public health expert with KCCR and lecturer at KNUST. Now, some school children in Nalerigu in the northeast say they would not accept the coronavirus vaccines because their parents have told them the vaccine is dangerous. The children also claim their parents believe the vaccination is a ploy by government to control childbirth in order to sustain pro-poor policies and other social interventions. Joy News' correspondent Elias Tanko reports from the Zabzugu community where children have been told to flee from strangers for fear of being vaccinated.
It is a Thursday morning and I am in the Zambulugu community for a different mission. I have come here to investigate the state of the schools following reports that over here children sit on the floor and under trees to study. As of 7:30 a.m. the pupils seem excited as they play on around while cleaning up their classrooms for lessons to start. Once I approach and they see me, they run helter-skelter amidst screams of fear. I was in the company of this teacher, Musa Amos, a native of the community and a student of the Gambaga College of Education, who often comes around to conduct morning assemblies and ensure the students stay in their classrooms as their teachers travel 4 kilometers every day to teach here. It took him a long while to calm them down, and I asked why. They say you will die when you get vaccinated. So our parents told us to run away anytime we see them in our school. Our parents asked us to run away anytime we see a stranger to avoid being vaccinated. According to them, you will die when you take the vaccines. They say you will die when you get vaccinated. So our parents told us to run away anytime we see them in our school. Apparently, some misinformation about the coronavirus vaccination exercise, which is yet to be rolled out, had widely been circulated in the community, and panicked parents have been warning their children to run away from strangers should they meet people like that. Amos gives further details of the rumors in the community.
We heard some news from that students, that they are coming to inject them coronavirus vaccines, and the vaccines is dangerous. We even heard that they have injected other community students and some dead. That the government said that they are going to inject them, if not that the free education will not be successfully. The children are many in such a way that he can't afford all what they want to them. So due to that, they want to inject them so that they would die. and leave few so that it will be better for the government. This is what I heard from them. And due to that, their parents tells them that for any person that is coming some place to this area, they should run away. If only they don't know that fellow. It means any person that is coming to what? Inject them.
Well, this goes to show the kind of work ahead of us as we begin rolling out the vaccines. Now to Parliament, because the minority say it's asking former Minister for Business Development Mohammed Awal to make available to the House a comprehensive breakdown of jobs created under the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program during the first term of Akufo-Addo's administration. This follows revelations by Mr. Mohammed Awal, who has been nominated to head Tourism, Art and Culture Ministry, that government created 96,000 jobs under the innovation program and also rolled out series of intervention to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on businesses. He made the revelations when he appeared before the vetting committee today.
As Minister for Business Development, we were responsible for initiating policies and programs to improve the business ecosystem in Ghana, especially for micro, small enterprises. Mr. Chairman, we initiated a number of projects and programs. One of the Presidential Business Support Program to support young businesses with funding and capacity building. Another one was also the Presidential Pitch, where young people between the ages of 18 and 35 were given the opportunity to pitch their ideas. Those who succeeded had funding. And they also supported through disability, called the Presidential Empowerment for Women and Men in Disability. Mr. Chairman, we've been able to establish a number of jobs. We don't only leave them after giving them the funding and capacity building, we handhold them and have partnered them for all these years that we've been in power. Despite the pandemic, Mr. Chairman, most of them are surviving, and we intend to do that given the opportunity. Thank you.
Chairman, may I know from the nominee, how many jobs did you create? Your official record, how many jobs did you create? Formal and informal?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. We created 96,000 jobs from our initiatives in the last 4 years.
But Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu argues the figures provided by the nominee contradicts what is captured in the handing over notes.
Capital of 10 million, which was expected to be scaled up to 100 million US dollars through the private sector implementation partner. So the Honorable Ablako was accurate when he drew your attention that your ministry probably engaged this private sector partner. I've read the brief from the court, and per Order 93, I intend to go to the merits of it. But it's important that your handing over notes captured the entirety of this transaction for the record. I mean, just a bureaucracy. You talk about human life. Tomorrow you may not be there as minister. The state will have a duty to respond to this matter with adequate references. Now, taking you back to Kumbungu, you are a proud son of, I know Bumbiamna, I know Jirguna. Where do you fall within the context of the royalty that Tampuli referred you to? And I know that the Kumbungu people are also noted for the question the Honorable Muntaka asked you. Loabule, Chairman, I explained. That's why when the Yana dies, the Kumbu now goes by leg. He doesn't just take transport to Yendi to sit in with the beast to supervise the burial of the Yana. If you are a royal, as I know you are, explain this.
I'm the grandson of Kumuna Hassan.
That's fine, Chairman. So he must take note and improve it. And then, Chairman, we are making a request through you. All the support initiative under the National Entrepreneurship Innovation Program, we want to have a record of it.
The nominee also says he will focus to make Ghana the hub of film production in West Africa. He says if approved by the House, he will ensure the establishment of a $20 million film studio.
That we don't have to reinvent the wheel, but also to grow our own strategies in Ghana. Mr. Chairman, when given the opportunity, we want to build a film and music studio. It's one element that can increase the tourism potentials of this country. We don't have any serious studio in this country. If we build a film studio, and we're working very hard to acquire a studio, that's one of the early things we do. The film studio we build would help in music and in film production and make Ghana the hub of film production in WhatsApp. In Nigeria, the film industry 2 years ago generated $590 million and supported 1 million jobs. In Hollywood, the film industry the same year generated $2.1 million and making about $12 billion film production. In both in Ghana, the hub, also generated about $4 billion. Ghana can do it if we have a studio that we can make sure produce movies, films, and to help in the creative arts sector. We want to build our creative arts and culture. Without a strong cultural and artistic background, tourism will not go.
Joining us via Zoom is filmmaker Leila Jansi. Leila, I'm grateful for your time. As a filmmaker, is this what Ghana's film sector needs? A film studio?
I don't mean any disrespect to the incoming minister, but I think that's actually putting the cart before the horse. Ghana does not have distribution structures. Ghana does not have production structures. There are no realistic avenues for movie financing. So who's going to rent the studio? How much are the filmmakers going to pay for the studio? If filmmakers invest money in the studio, how are they going to make it back if there are no distribution structures? So I don't know. I feel like that might be a little premature. And I don't know what kind of studio that $20 million will build, but I'm sure they've done their research and have a plan for it.
For you, where should we start from?
Cinemas. If there could be a cinema in every district or regional capital, that would support distribution. That would support a filmmaker recouping their investment. And then you're not talking about a filmmaker making a film and then realizing a lump sum. So now the filmmaker can think about, okay, I can do this film on a sound stage, and then they can rent a studio. But if I'm understanding film studio the way he's referring to it, it's premature.
Leila Jansi is a filmmaker. I'm grateful for your time, and we're still live on JoyNews Prime. We'll take a break. We'll be back with business with Charles Aite.
Hello, good evening. It's time for business. I'm Charles Aite. The Minister Designate for Tourism, Arts and Culture, Mohammed Ibrahim Awal, has announced a 50 million cedi facility to finance entrepreneurs in the tourism industry recovering from the impact of COVID-19. Taking his turn before Parliament's Appointment Committee, Dr. Awal said Ghana's tourism industry has lost a significant amount of investment due to the impact of COVID. But he is confident to institute measures to ensure that the industry bounces back when given the opportunity as minister.
The tourism sector has been most impacted with this pandemic. As of last month, $1.3 trillion have been lost to the sector. In Ghana, the loss is estimated to be about 6 billion cedis. Everybody with the value chain has been affected. The National Board of Small Scale Industries has done something in terms of government support. It's certainly not enough. What we intend doing is to make a proper impact assessment, which GTA is already doing, to look at what we can do. There are two things we intend to do. We intend to build the capacity of the players in the tourist sector, to also give them business ideas. That's one. It's very important for building our capacity, and there are many of them. And two, intend to provide funding. The chance to speak today, we are already arranging, if given or not, to conclude 50 million cedi facility to help those in the sector. And those help to build our capacity and to give them money, prepare them for the COVID. Mr. Chairman, anytime there's a catastrophe, after catastrophe, tourism surges around the world. Second World War is an example. Anytime there's a pandemic after pandemic, there's a surge in tourism. want to use the downtime now to prepare our people, build their capacity, give them funding, like I said, 50 million cities already being worked out, so that they can build and resist. Most of them are also women. 50% of all the industry are women. We need to build the capacity and make sure that they can deliver, from being just less entrepreneurs to opportunity entrepreneurs. So that's why I want to do this downtime. So I can lots of vaccination going on. We are hoping that by the end of this year, travel and activities will pick up, and we'll prepare our people for that.
The communications giant MTN Ghana has ended 2020 recording some significant increase in its profits. Here's more. Based on the numbers, MTN attributes the strong growth in profits to an increase in its subscriber base, which went up by 23.4% to hit 24.4 million cities ending December 2020. This went a long way to affect revenue earned from its voice business. Data also witnessed some significant increase, which was driven by COVID-19 and more subscribers switching to smartphones, resulting in data revenue going up by 21.3%. Active data subscribers stands at 10.8 million, after going up by some 32.4%. MTN now has about 10.6 million subscribers. Based on this performance for the year, the board of MTN declared a final dividend of 5 pesos per share, bringing total dividend payments for last year to 8 pesos. This represents 70.5% of profit after tax and a 33.3% increase in dividend per share over those paid for 2019. Well, meanwhile, MTN Ghana paid about 1 billion cedis in taxes to the state as of 2020. Now, the head of customer experience at Star 787 lottery, Richard Akoto-Banfo, says the lottery now offers the opportunity where 50 participants stand the chance of winning 200 cedis each and every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Here's more.
Richard Akoto-Banfo made this known at a presentation of a new jackpot win worth 328,000 cedis plus 20,000 cedis unique prize 2 weeks after the biggest jackpot record ever to hit Ghana. With over 23,000 winners bagging home amazing cash prizes in the just ended draw, Solomon Kobina Aban, an Obuasi-based trader who doubles as a security officer, emerged draw 65 week 8 jackpot winner. He said, although the news came to him as a shock and couldn't believe it, upon receipt of a confirmation text message, he exploded with joy. He added that his 348,000 cedis cash prize will aid him facilitate his pending factory project and also expand his trading business. He encouraged all to take their chance with the Star 787 mobile lottery as it's real beyond dreams.
Initially, I was not that excited because when he called, I didn't know him personally, and me speaking to someone on phone should not give me the authenticity of or the caliber of that person for me to trust so much. But as time went on, then he communicated to me with the particulars that he asked from me and other stuff. Then I got to know it and I became more happy. Right. Initially, I also did not believe it till I had it. Even the 10 CDs that I had for the first time gave me that assurance. It's true.
Richard Akoto-Banfo had this to say.
Early this year, Star 787 promised you amazing game. It will be in your interest to know that we listen to our players, we listen to the public, and as a result of this, we have introduced new days into our week draws. Therefore, every participation that is made on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, equally on these special days, you stand a chance to win 200 Ghana cedis each with only 5 Ghana cedis. If I were to be you, I would increase my chance of playing so I can win home these prizes. But that is not all. These same tickets equally win you the big jackpot prize for Saturday as well.
And that's it for business. Sports is up next. And it's time for Showbiz. Becky is here.
Lady in black.
Hello to you,
I miss you a lot, Becky.
Me too. Where have you been? Oh, you've been on PM Express doing all the things that you do.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. So the Creative Arts Minister Designate took his stand.
Mohamed Awal.
In Parliament today, and he's said a lot of things. Among them is the fact that they're trying to engage, or they are looking at engaging Stevie Wonder,
who says he's relocating to Ghana. That would be nice.
Yeah, so
to become an ambassador.
An ambassador.
Okay. So it would be nice to see all of them come to invest in Ghana.
Yeah, it would be nice to have Beyonce, you know.
Oh, that would be lovely. That would be lovely.
So I think they should try and engage Beyonce
and do it faster.
Yeah,
we don't have the patience.
I have their numbers, so you can just,
Mohamed Awal, please contact me.
But to one sad news, Emmanuel Bobi, he is a photographer. He is one of the pioneers, I should say,
in photography.
And news coming in today is that he passed on, and so tributes have been pouring in for him on social media and all that.
That's really on the sad note.
Here is what we know about Emmanuel Bobi.
May he so rest in peace.
Yeah.
And I hope he trained some other people to be like him.
Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of the young ones are.
Because we still need to pose, right? The photo shooting and the posing, that kind of thing.
He's done his best.
Great. Thanks so much for bringing us Showbiz. That'll be it for Showbiz. Up next is sports.
Many thanks for staying with us here on JoyNews Prime Time to bring you sports. My name is Hans Mensah Andor, and good news for Ghana because the Black Satellites are through to the semi-final of the Under-20 AFCON. They achieved that by beating Cameroon 4-2 on penalties after the game was tied at 1-1 after extra time.
Well, these are the two goals that were scored. That was delightfully set up from that corner by Eto'o. The spring header there by Miller. And of course, we've seen that before. A few years ago now, in a certain World Cup. There's the follow-up from Botek because we're at 1-1. Anyway, we'll just go straight from the penalties. Barney with the right foot. Barney fires into the back of the net. That's 1-0 for Ghana. To player. Aliou scores, fires it into the corner. 1-1. Denmark. Sinky in the corner. A beautifully struck penalty. And just evading the outstretch. Ibrahim up against Ibrahim. Oh, it's a fine strike indeed. Very cool. High into the corner, taking the guy. Nokia with a shot in the corner. The penalty goes in. And another goal for Ghana. 100% so far. 3 from 3. Oh, it's come off the crossbar. Ali Goldie has had his F fly off the woodworks. Two across. Boa to make it 4-2. It goes in the corner. Shaking the net as Ghana move 4-2 ahead. Victory. Miller. Saves it. They've done it. Ghana are through. Ghana are through to the semi-finals. They've achieved their goal. They've done it. They are back in business. They had a very disappointing.
So the Black Satellites are through to the semi-finals of the Under-20 AFCON. Congratulations to the team. Let's check out the results from the Ghana Premier League games that were played earlier today. Joseph Esso, of course, grabbing a hat-trick as Dreams FC beat Ashanti Gold by 4-1. Asante Kotoko, of course, they will play against Bechim United. On Friday, Great Olympics will play against Berekum Chelsea. And that Asante Kotoko Berekum Chelsea game, of course, postponed because of the heavy downpour earlier today. Let's get into some political, sports matters here. And the sports minister designate has been vetted, and he talked about the 2023 African Games Village, which he says will be converted into a sports university.
Make sure that we revive the inter-school festivals, and there's no PE teachers, people who would train these talents, then it's a big problem. And that is why, going forward, like I said in the earlier answer, after the African Games, we are going to use those facilities to establish the University for Sports Development. And this will be a platform where we can train more technical people, coaches, referees, so that they will meet international standard and also be able to harness talent for our national team and also the teams that we have in our league.
Well, that's it for this installment. We'll bring you more sports a bit later in the bulletin. My name is Hans Mensando.
Welcome back to JoyNews Prime. The workers at the Ghana Airport Company Limited have announced the withdrawal of its services starting tomorrow, Friday, February 26, 2021. This, according to the union, has become necessary because of attempts by the board to shelve damning findings of an investigative committee constituted by the then aviation minister to look into allegations of mismanagement and abuse of office by the director of the company, Yao Kwakwa. My colleague Kwekwa Sante has more.
The Ghana Airport Company Limited Divisional Union of Workers will from Friday morning withdraw some services as they embark on an indefinite industrial action in their quest to get the managing director of the airport, Yao Kwakwa, removed. Affected services will include screening of pre-board passengers and access control, fire safety cover for all aircraft, as well as flight display and public announcements. These are services which, if withdrawn, could cripple the airport. According to the union leader, Abdul Isaka Bamba, who spoke exclusively to JoyNews, the managing director of the Ghana Airport Company Limited, Yao Kwakwa, is deliberately mismanaging the airport in his bid to pave way for its privatization.
The past year, we had issues of privatization and mismanagement leveled against the managing director of Ghana Airport Company Limited. The issue of privatization has been in and out until the board chair made categorical statement. The then sector minister made the same statement that the government have no intention of privatizing the company, of which we are grateful to the president and the minister. Unfortunately, after that pronouncement at our meeting, the managing director doesn't want to leave that issue. He is still pursuing it. What interest he has, we are yet to know.
The union made a number of allegations against the MD of the company, prompting the board to institute an investigative committee to probe the matters some months ago. But the union is claiming that the board is shelving the report of the probe because it implicates the managing director.
The committee finished its job. The report was ready after about a month ago. As we speak, contrary to the belief we had, we still don't have a copy. Even General Secretary PSW has been following up to have a copy. They don't want to give the copy to him. Now, the board is still keeping the copy, which we are holding the board chairperson responsible.
Mr. Bamba also indicates that the managing director is packing the top management of the company with retirees on contract, a situation, he says, is damping the confidence of other employees.
We are demanding that the managing director should go. We expect that all those retirees should go with him. All those retirees should go with him. Those retirees, I'll give you their names. You can find out from the management why they are still at posts. The director of security is a retiree. He is called Emmanuel Kohini. The group executive procurement is a retiree. Mr. Fianco is there. Director projects is a retiree. They are all sitting in office. I think staff need to know what special skill do they have that they can never be replaced. Now, for once, since GCA, that's Ghana Civil Aviation Time, up to Ghana Airport Company, managing directors have never had special assistants. For now, we have one for the managing director of Ghana Airport Company. What he does, we don't know. Another retiree. And we are spending money on this, and the important things for the company are lacking behind.
According to the union, there are a number of statutory deductions which are in arrears at the company.
Contracts are signed, the proposals that are brought in by the service providers, by the time the contract is signed, the figures, instead of it coming down, rather increased. And I'm going to give you a few examples and you will understand where we had issues. Now, if we take a company like ACO Engineering, which takes care of our liquid waste and the firefighting, the proposed figure from the service providers was $1,098,813. Meanwhile, by the time this figure was signed, instead of it coming down, because we expect that any normal person will beat down the price, it rather shot up. It shot up to $1,998,000.
From the airport to the Supreme Court, because former Deputy Attorney General Dr. Dominic Ayine has been discharged by the Supreme Court for contemptuous comments he made that the court deemed scandalous. On Monday, when the contempt proceedings were announced, the Chief Justice Kwesi Ening-Yeboah directed Dr. Ayine to apologize using the same medium he made those remarks, which he complied. My colleague Kwekwa Sante has more in the following report.
This is the order of the court. We accept the apology of learned counsel for the contempt law. We, however, order that the contempt law purges its contempt by retracting the scandalous statement on the very same medium before Thursday, the 25th of February 2021, when the court will reconvene. The contempt proceedings is thus adjourned to Thursday, the 25th February 2021 at 9:30 a.m. So, Mr. Bicham, so you will come here 9:30. If he renders the apology, you will come and completely vacate the order.
That was the court's directive on Monday for Dr. Dominic Ayine to use the same medium for which he made those contemptuous remarks to purge himself of same. After Dr. Dominic Ayine obeyed this court order, the Supreme Court has this morning moved to strike out the contempt charges against Dr. Dominic Ayine, a former Deputy Attorney General and Minister for Justice, as well as a spokesperson for 2020 NDC presidential candidate who has brought an election petition before the Supreme Court. In court today, lawyer for the Electoral Commission, Justin Amenuwo, who was not scheduled to be here, came in and said that he was coming to offer solidarity to his former roommate in Commonwealth Hall and the best man for his wedding.
No, I'm not appearing as counsel, but as a friend of Dominic Ayine and a best man at his wedding. Yes, my lord. He was Commonwealth Hall secretary in our year. He's a very good friend of mine. We go way back. I'm grateful to the court for the court's magnanimity.
The Supreme Court will return next week, Thursday, 4th of March 2021, to deliver its judgment on the election petition brought before it by 2020 NDC presidential candidate John Dramani Mahama, seeking a rerun, arguing that none of the candidates in the election had 50% plus one of the votes as declared by the Electoral Commission.
A spokesperson for John Mahama, Eduji Tamaklo, is optimistic the Supreme Court will grant a rerun of the 2020 presidential election. Portions of the written closing address filed by lawyers for the petitioner state they have successfully proved that no candidate obtained more than 50% of the votes cast in the 2020 presidential elections. When pressed to show how and where that was done in court, Eduji Tamaklo told JoyNews' Kwekwa Sante that the evidence is contained in the witness statement of Johnson ASIEDU-BEKOE, who was the petitioner's first witness.
No, pursuant to the leave granted the petitioner, we managed to have filed a closing address. Like you pointed out, those are matters that ordinarily I should not be delving into. What is key is that the witness statement of General Mosquito contains those materials. In the past, ordinarily, your witness is led, as in you lead your witness for him to tell his story. But this time, because of the introduction of the witness statement, that opportunity, those figures and its calculation, that the mathematics of Article 63(4) were all proved in the witness statement of General Mosquito. But I wouldn't want to go deeper into the inferences to be drawn by the court. Yes.
Right. So the court will be making decision based on all that has happened, as well as the witness closing statement that you filed. Are you still confident that the court will rule according to the reliefs that you've been seeking? Because there are those who have said that in court you've not led any evidence to back the reliefs you are seeking.
I mean, they are entitled to express their opinion. We conducted our case, and we are confident that we have proved our case.
Away from the Supreme Court, a new completed school block sits idle while children of Osu Presby cluster of schools cope with congestion and bad learning conditions. Judith Awechitando reports children are unhappy about the situation and are calling on the Municipal Assembly to relocate them urgently.
Students trying to get some respite from heat. Instead of focusing on lessons, they are distracted by the environment. Ideally, education is meant to take place in a safe, convenient, and comfortable environment. But here at the Osu Presby cluster of schools, the situation is different. Students have had to struggle in such dire learning conditions for years. In these times of coronavirus, students are expected to be socially distanced, but they are close together because of limited space.
It affects my academic because sometimes I will come to school, I think I will feel comfortable to learn in school, but rather you come to school then you face all these challenges. Meanwhile, at school you have to feel comfortable to learn, to be able to learn well, but you come in, there is heat all over and dust, and the classrooms are not even big enough for us.
Immediately we are coming to school, we polish our shoe. Like if we get to class during break time, when we get out, our madam will ask why we didn't polish our shoe, but we polish because of the dust and photos in our class. So it seems like we have not polished our school, and the classroom is full of heat. Like heat, everybody here almost has heat rashes because of the heat in this classroom.
The complaints from students are well known to school authorities and even the Korle-Klottey Municipal Assembly. In fact, the assembly solved the problem by building a new classroom block. But what is most striking about this situation is that the fully furnished classroom block situated right across the street is slowly becoming a white elephant after sitting idle for 4 good years. The building has been barricaded and locked up by the contractor, whom we were told had not been fully paid. We had to climb onto a public transport vehicle to have a good view of the block.
This is the site which was previously occupied by the Osu 3-day school, but due to its dilapidated nature, it was demolished and a new classroom block was built. Sadly, this classroom block has been lying dormant for the past 4 years. Teachers and students were moved across the street to a temporary block, which is no different from their previous dilapidated structure. And for 4 good years, these students have had to battle with heat, congestion, and lack of a proper place of convenience.
The abandoned school has now been taken over by weeds. The youth of the Korle-Klottey municipality are gradually losing faith in the hope that something can be done to help their children. They are calling on government for help.
For the past 1 year, we've been pushing. When we were about to start, when we were at the middle of negotiating with the MCE, there was this lockdown. So he assured us that come the reopening, he's going to get them to open it. but it's been 6 to 7 weeks into the new term, and we've not seen anything that shows that they're going to open it.
I work here. I'm a driver, and this building has been here. I think they completed it around 2017, almost getting to 4 years. And our children and then all the students have been moved to the other side. Over there is heat, and then even the environment is not that good for them. And we don't know exactly what is going on and the reason why they've not come back to their premises as it has been completed. So we are pleading to the government or whoever is in charge of this building to come and then finish it.
Situated on the same compound as the schools is the Municipal Education Directorate. It has been a year now since the directorate was set up, but they are working under terrible conditions. Mrs. Joyce Osai is director of the office.
Yes, we are not in a proper office, as you mentioned. It's the duty of assembly to help us.
We visited the Municipal Assembly to get answers. Honorable Ni Ejay Teria is Municipal Chief Executive.
The contractor was in a meeting with us, but it appears when she scrutinized those documents or the proposal we have given her, she is of the view that there's some shortfall somewhere. So she did not go ahead with the arrangement. But now, because there were issues that we need to understand and see, that we come to the same level. Because once you reconcile things, it will come to the same level at the end of the day. And if everything goes well, I won't be surprised that next week we may have the keys to the place and we can start cleaning up for the children to go.
A week for the school to be handed over, he has promised. JoyNews will surely follow on this developing story. Judith Awachitando, JoyNews.
I'm back in the studio. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Now, work has started on the construction of a 5-story structure to replace the long-stalled maternal and a children's block project at the Komfanoche Teaching Hospital. Excavation of the project site is ongoing as contractors prepare to demolish the existing structure. After about 40 decades of neglect, the existing building failed a structural integrity test. Anaya Ojima joined a tour of the structure by the Ministry of Health.
The new building will be constructed with a €138 million budget already secured for the project. The bed capacity will, however, be reduced by 250. Head of Architecture at the Ministry of Health, Richard Vanderpoy, briefed journalists on the scope of the proposed new structure.
Within 3 years, the contractor promises to finish this structure, including demolishing the existing one. I'm in discussions with Komfanoche to finalize the detailed internal layouts. And this building is going to have 6 floors with 1 sub-basement and then 1 floor podium for the outpatients department. We have almost 200 spaces, car parking.
Management of Komfanoche Teaching Hospital is in support of the demolition of the existing structure. Dr. Ohneba Osu Danso is Chief Executive Officer.
The hospital's main interests currently are the following: that it should not affect the duration or expected completion date of the project, that it should add extra value to what will have been derived from the existing one, that it should be scalable in the immediate future to meet the additional space so urgently required by the hospital. Because as we will learn later, the new scheme has had to reduce the scope.
The Ministry of Health says the long-stored maternity and children's block fails to meet the minimum standard required by the building regulations. Emmanuel Asabre is project manager for Akito Consult, consultants to the contractor.
Be able to peel off the iron rod. Now it shows the extent of the rust. Now try the concrete. Now concrete shouldn't be this way, not under any circumstance. Even block work will not peel if you touch it. It shows you the level of deterioration we have currently. Because of the need to try to resolve the issue, These new columns were attempted by the new contractor who came in. Even this still didn't work. What it means is that if we are to work on this, it means that we have to make it bigger. And this is what we call jacketing, by encasing it again. Encasing it, we are losing space and not getting any value for money. And these are some of the things that virtually led to it. And if you see the way we dug the foundation, what it means is that when we go to the top, you see what it means. We are meant that we are supposed to demolish all these to be able to work on the foundations on the ground before we go up, which then doesn't add up. So one of the investigations we did to see what we had. Every concrete needs a certain minimum cover. Currently, these do not meet the minimum covers. So we did this to see how much the rust is running through it. And you can see how it interconnects. So once it's rusting, it goes through the whole facility. And the thickness of the slab we're dealing with. If you look at this, you realize that the bar sizing, first of all, is too small. The detailing is not as it's supposed to be, and it's too thin.
Construction firm contractor says the construction of the new building and demolition of the old structure will progress concurrently. Various governments since 1976 have worked on the project at various stages without any hope of conclusion. A JoyNews documentary by Seth Kwame Boateng titled Next to Die, highlighting challenges of mothers, compelled the government to source funding to complete the project. For JoyNews, Nana Ojima reporting.
The Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice in the Northeast region says it is considering taking legal action against authorities at the East Mamprusi Municipal Assembly for their continuous refusal to release monies belonging to persons with disability in the area. The Municipal Director of the Commission, Salif Usule Soya, in a response to a petition by the Association of Persons with Disability, is asking Shraj to compel the Assembly to disburse the Disability Common Fund of which they are beneficiaries. JoyNews reports dozens of persons with disability are facing neglect by family members, while others have turned into the streets to beg following the Assembly's failure to disburse the Disability Common Fund since 2018. The Shraj Director told JoyNews the Commission was in the process of facilitating the going to court of the PWDs to compel the Assembly authorities to release and disburse the monies.
I will tell you, they are bored with me. My frequent visits to their place because of this money has made them bored with me. I've been lucky that new people have come and they are prepared to put pressure. But I still find it very difficult understanding why the money cannot come. Interestingly, we are putting the pressure on the District Assembly because it was the District Assembly that was petitioned. And so we expect the District Assembly to put the pressure so that if the District Assembly is even going to court to fight for the money, it shouldn't be a matter of the people with disability, and it shouldn't be a matter bordering on this complaint because the complaint was against the East Mamprusi Municipal Assembly. Interestingly, it's pitiful to see that the bank is holding this money, the Assembly is not, going to court. We are being cautious because it is the Assembly that opened that account. It is the money is going to the people with disability through the Assembly. And then the Assembly should take the people to court. These people with disability are vulnerable. If you even lead them to court, regarding their vulnerable nature, you will have a lot of issues to confront with.
As COVID-19 continues to impact the world, people in the academia continue to grapple with the use of technology to reduce face-to-face sessions. The thought of creating hybrid classrooms to ensure that schools continue to run and students do not miss out on seeking education has become prominent. But how technologically savvy are some of the professors, doctors, and other lecturers within the university setting? The Department of Business and Social Sciences Education at the University of Cape Coast has been working on the lecturers to embrace technology in order to protect themselves and their students. Richard Kwejanyakum has more in the following report.
Universities across the country reopened to start the new academic year. So far, it appears it's been smooth sailing with minimal hiccups. Many of the universities have had to alter their teaching methodology to reduce the face-to-face sessions that used to be the case. But it's not all the university lecturers or instructors that are technology savvy. Many are grappling with the use of technology in order to reduce physical contact. The Department of Business and Social Sciences Education at the University of Cape Coast has been trying to serve such people, arming them to embrace change as COVID-19 continues to ravage the world. Dr. Bernard Yaosechiakwa is the head of Department for the Business and Social Sciences Education at UCC.
One of the challenges we've had, especially in the department, had been people responding to change. People find it difficult to embrace the technology. I don't know why, but it's like the desire seems not to be there. People cite a lot of challenges with the use of technology. But one thing I've realized is that when there is a change in mindset, then certainly we can use it, because irrespective of the challenges, like we always hear, where there is a will, there will certainly be a way. And I think that looking at the response from my colleagues, I can see that there is a renewed interest in using it, because the pandemic is not going away. In fact, even if it's going away somewhere else, in our parts of the world, we don't even have vaccines. So it is going to stay with us for some time, and we need to protect ourselves.
An educational consultant and a facilitator at the workshop, Henry Gosson Afo, called for change, a change that would not deny student knowledge as a result of COVID-19.
There are people with serious underlying health conditions that probably, students and lecturers alike, that might not be able to get into the lecture halls at this point. We need to still help them access the curriculum. How do we do that? So the aim of this is to make sure that no one is left behind. And in using a very nice personalized learning UDL approach, we make sure that we have a strong synchronized session and asynchronized session going on at the same time. The hybrid learning is going on, the virtual learning is going on. No one is left out. Everyone should be engaged because we've lost out a lot of time. Look at how this COVID started and when it started, and there are people who practically still are not accessing the curriculum.
Some of the lecturers who benefited from the training workshop have been sharing their experiences with JoyNews.
I've always been using face-to-face meetings with my students, but with today's workshop, I should think I'm going to adapt or use the hybrid way of teaching, which means the face-to-face in addition with the adoption of technology in teaching.
I in person have not been so much involved in the use of these tools insofar as technology is concerned in teaching my class. So when it became necessary for us to use the technologically mediated tools in engaging our students, we're only introduced to Zoom, and others also talked about the Google Classroom. But today we've had the opportunity of looking at so many other tools that we could actually use or employ in engaging our students.
This workshop, though we were using some of these technologies, but we were not using it to full benefit. We were not putting them into full benefit. But with this workshop, it has actually helped me. It has actually enlightened me on some of the tools that I could inculcate.
I'm just appealing to the service providers that this is the time, because whether we like it or not, COVID has come to stay with us, and we shouldn't say because of COVID we wouldn't do what is expected of us. So this is the time that we need them to support our students in getting data.
The department was presented with projectors, cameras and interactive boards to help them create a hybrid classroom. Richard Kwejanyakum, JoyNews, Cape Coast.
And on Thursday, crutches have always been a great support system for people living with disability. The crutches, however, come with a lot of discomfort. To take away the discomfort of crutches, a senior clinical engineering manager at Komfanocho Teaching Hospital has invented a sandal crutch. On Thursday, Tech Thursday, Love FM's Kwesi Deborah speaks with the brainchild of this innovation, Emmanuel Rekobrobe.
Engineer Emmanuel Rekobrobe was inspired to invent a sandal crutch after observing the distress persons with disability go through. The senior clinical engineering manager at Konfanoche Teaching Hospital says the sandal crutch will help the physically challenged to carry out their normal duties without difficulty. The sandal is attached with a rope and a woodwork which is supported with a metal strip to hold it tight. This will strengthen the leg, making the movement easy. Now, to support people with weak bones, the second crutch provides support around the knee level between the knee and the thigh. According to the engineer, this is the first of its kind.
As you can see, it's a normal sandal attached with this simple rope and the woodwork, as well as a metal strip to hold in place. It goes like this. We all know the difficulty associated with those with irregular leg problem. That is one leg being bigger than the other. When they are walking, it's either they bend down, hold the knee and put in place, or they go by crutches. So to take away the discomfort of that, this helps to strengthen the leg, and then the movement becomes so easy, just like I'm doing. To support those with difficulties in walking or weak form of bones, this provides support around the knee level, between the knee and the thigh. It goes with this walking stick. And I'm going to demonstrate how it works. This is how it works. Again, it's a first of a kind. First ever to be made. With this entering into a car is a bit easy. Climbing of stairs is very easy. And also going about your normal duties in your house is also very easy.
Reporter for JoyNews, Kwesi Deborah.
We'll take a break on JoyNews Prime. We're back with more business with Charles Aite.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to Business. Energy Minister Designate Matthew Opoku-Prempeh says Ghana's growth is directly linked to its ability to industrialize. He says government will play its role in ensuring that local businesses thrive to ease the unemployment burden in the country. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh was speaking after touring Tropical Cable and Conductor Limited, which is a wholly owned Ghanaian company in Temam. Correspondent Kwame Yanka has more in this report.
Tropical Cable and Conductor Limited was established in 1997. A year later, it was producing 72 metric tons of aluminum products. Currently, TCCL produces over 3,000 metric tons of aluminum and copper products and more than 1,000 metric tons of PVC. It has over the years faced stern competition from competitors in other jurisdictions that have more incentives to produce at relatively cheaper costs. At his first familiarization tour, Energy Minister Designate Matthew Opoku-Prempeh was impressed with the company's role in the sector among other areas. He believes local companies such as TCCL can be given the needed support to traverse Ghana's borders in the African Continental Free Trade Area.
That you cannot shout Ghana beyond age without promoting leadership in Ghanaian business. That is what gets employment. That is why me and you, our brothers and our sisters, will get jobs to do. If you come around Tropical Cable and Conductor Limited, and you see they are employing about 150 Ghanaians, of course, look at the number of people in the extended families that these people might be that are dependent upon them. And that is why it is imperative that if Ghana wants to grow, if Ghana wants to mature, if Ghana wants to solve the youth unemployment, if Ghana wants to industrialize, companies like this that government to support to not only expand, to expand and export beyond the shores of Ghana.
Deputy Managing Director of Tropical Cable, Martin Mensah, bemoans preference for foreign goods over quality ones produced locally.
All players in the market have the option of buying from any country in the world which has the economies of scale. So a country somewhere else, I won't mention any country's names, has hundreds of millions of citizens and industries. When they produce, the cost per meter is much lower than us because we are not reaching our full capacity. I mean, it's basic microeconomics. The more we encourage companies like ourselves, the more that we can do to industrialize Ghana, to create jobs, and to store more of the wealth that we create here. Instead of us having to go and raise money from outside, we have the value here.
Meanwhile, Martin Mensah believes Ghana could be West Africa's industrial hub.
In West Africa, I think that our country must be strategic. You know, the ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme can work. It works for other countries, it works for other industries. We need government support to open up the channels. Once we open up those channels, we have enough capacity and we should be able to invest and expand our capacity to serve the entire region. You know, and you know, there are so many gaps. Look, Ghana has a bigger industrial base than many countries in West Africa. We need to build it and make ourselves, if you like, the mini manufacturing hub of the region. It can be done.
Tropical Cable can produce over 5,000 tons of aluminium and copper products and over 2,000 tons of PVC at full capacity when there is demand. Kwame Yankes reports for Joy Business.
Now, the Chief Executive Officer of Bro Ghana, Tony Setra, is calling on estate developers and pension trusts to put forces together to urge government to pass into law the Real Estate Investment Trust Regulation. According to him, the regulatory framework surrounding the trust, as well as the delay in its implementation, has led to Ghana losing some foreign investment in the real estate sector.
So there has been a bit of lobbying in the background with respect to the REIT law. That led to the Securities and Exchange Commission pushing to set up another law for, or I would say, REIT legislation around about 2018, such that it will pave the way for REITs or foreign REITs or even local ones that are looking to invest in property by way of this indirect route to be able to set up their investments. Unfortunately, this legislation is still in the draft stage, and it will take industry players like us and pension funds to be able to push or lobby to ensure that we are able to get the successful passage of the current REIT regulation.
Now, Director of Diaspora Affairs at the Presidency, Kwesi Abibio, says the government is in the process of lifting the ban on the recruitment of workers to Gulf countries. Speaking at the maiden edition of the African Migration Summit, Mr. Abibio stated that the lifting of the ban will be the utmost priority when the Employment and Labour Relations Minister assumes office. There is more in this report.
The summit, which brought together journalists, African leaders, government officials and NGO operators, seeks to brainstorm effective implementation of African migration policies by reviewing and providing roadmaps. Chairperson of Necotech Center, Reverend Dr. A.K. Okanse, urged government to rectify the International Labour Organization's Convention C-189 to promote decent work.
Well, the United Nations International Labour Organization, ILO, there are some conventions that we are propagating. I'm a chair for the UNYA, and what we are saying is Ghana, we want to see Convention C-189, which is decent work for domestic workers. We want to see C-190, which is for non-violence in the workplace, ratified. And when those are ratified, it will help to sanitize the industry and make it safe and orderly. The UN Global Compact calls for safe and orderly migration. And so if we're doing that, that will help us achieve the SDGs 2030 as well as our own Agenda 2063.
Director of Diaspora Affairs at the Presidency, Akwesi Awua Ababio, said government is in the process of lifting the ban on the recruitment of workers to Gulf countries with the appropriate measures in place.
That paves way for the government to lift the ban that has been put on the operation of this. I think yes. Now we have a lot of information as to how things had gone bad. And therefore, the necessary work that had to be done in the background has been done to enable those who are genuinely registered, who are also in good business, to be able to come back into that business of making sure that people can be migrated or can be sent out to go and earn decent money, go and take decent jobs, go and work under decent conditions. That is very important.
On his part, President of the Journalists International Forum for Migration, Ajibola Abayomi, cautioned journalists to be circumspect with their reportage on migration issues.
The whole essence of this is to crusade the media angle to migration. For instance, we must understand and must admit that the media needs a lot of training to understand various dynamism and concepts in migration. For instance, it has become a norm for media in most African countries to be referring to their own people as illegal migrants. It is wrong. It is unhuman. We must bring human face into human reportage, into migration reportage. What we are talking about is regular or irregular migration. Simply, what does regular mean? Regular means somebody that passes through or come into a country with all the details, the visa details, but those that are irregular are just people without permission in the country. But however, if they are not criminals, they should be allowed to regularize their status. But
the summit will be conducted as an annual conference for all stakeholders in the migration industry by way of advancing the implementation of African migration policies.
And that's how we end business with me, Charles. ASIEDU, stay tuned for sports, which is coming up next.
Time to bring you the second installment of sports here on JoyNews Prime. I'm Hans Mensah Ando. The 2023 Africa Games LOC chairman Dr. Ofosu Asare says Olympic Stadium is a national asset, so Parliament should avoid partisan politics. There is more in this report by my colleague Muftau Nabil Abdullahi.
Local organizing committee were inaugurated in October 2020 to ensure a successful organization of the 2023 Africa Games. Chairman of the committee, Dr. Ofosu Asare, reiterated the country's commitment to building a 50,000 capacity stadium that will serve as the venue for the opening and closing ceremonies.
We're going to build a 50,000 capacity Olympic stadium. We're yet to start. The good news is that we have the land, and we've done all that is possible as far as the LOC is concerned. What is left is for government to do what is the remainder, and I have every belief that that will be done very soon. The challenge we had, and you will all attest to that when we got inaugurated, it was more or less at the peak of the elections, and everything had to be put on hold for the elections to progress. And fortunately, everything has gone on very well.
With the competition barely 2 years away, he called on Parliament to do away with partisan politics and make available funds for the construction of the stadium.
I want to say that the games must be considered as a flagship for everybody. You will recall that during the campaign, the two leading political parties in Ghana all talked about the African Games, and so it reflected in their manifestos. So we must see it as a national project, because this is the first time we've had the opportunity to host these games. Remember, the games started in 1965. So we have every belief that whatever goes to Parliament, and don't forget that if you're going to build a new stadium, it involves money. And so if the state is looking for money, it has to be sanctioned by Parliament. And our plea is that when it goes to Parliament, we should look at it from a from purely an objective point of view, non-partisan point of view, to make sure that we facilitate things, or our parliamentarians will facilitate things for us to push this thing through and start. If we have the funding, building a multi-purpose stadium will not be a problem within the period that we
Ghana is hosting the Africa Games for the first time since its inception in the 1960s.
Let's get into some Ghana Premier League coaching issues. And Samuel Boadu has left his post as head coach of Mediama Sporting Club. The Takwa-based club has confirmed. The club confirmed Boadu's resignation hours after their Ghana Premier League March Week 16 victory over Techiman 11 Wonders in Takwa.
Samuel Boadu, who has been with the Mouse and Yellows in the last 3 years, parted company despite winning his last game against the Techiman 11 Wonders in the Ghana Premier League. Under his tutelage, Mediama has toppled the Ghana Premier League on 2 consecutive seasons. However, those seasons were not completed due to number 12 documentary premiered in June 2018 and the cancellation of last season due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Mediama had a difficult start to the 2020-21 Ghana Premier League season, but seemed to have found their feet in their last 5 matches. Last year, reports have suggested that the Phobians who parted company with Costa Papic last week Monday could be the destination of Mr. Boadu. There are others who also suggest that he could be heading to Ash Gold, who currently do not also have a head coach. Joy Sports understands Hearts of Oak, who have had conversations with 2 different coaches, Ibrahim Tanko and Yao Echampon, who both turned down the opportunity of leading the former CAF Champions League winners, have tabled an offer that appears to convince Mr. Boadu to head their technical dugout. The terms of the contract is unclear to Joy Sports, but sources say it is good enough to attract any coach in the local scene.
Now, Olympic 800-meter champion Caster Semenya will appeal to the European Court of Human Rights against the restrictions of testosterone levels in female runners. Semenya is not allowed to compete in events between 400 meters and a mile without taking testosterone-reducing drugs following a 2019 rule change by the governing body of World Athletics. The South African lost an appeal to Switzerland's Federal Supreme Court in September, but still harbors hopes of defending her Olympic title in Tokyo this year.
South Africa said she would continue her fight for human rights despite her disappointment. Semenya has twice appealed against IAAF rules preventing her from running without medication, but a ruling allowing her to compete has now been overturned. Semenya is challenging World Governing Body, the IAAF, new rules that she and other athletes with differences of sexual development must either take testosterone-reducing medication in order to compete in track events from 400 meters to a mile or change to another distance. Semenya has been able to race while awaiting the decision of a Swiss court, having previously lost an appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sport in May. The latest ruling by the Swiss Federal Supreme Court means she will not be allowed to compete at the World Championship in Doha. I am very disappointed to be kept from defending my hard-earned title, Caster Semenya said, but this will not deter me from continuing my fight for the human rights of all the female athletes concerned. The IAAF said it wanted the suspension of the rules to be reversed to avoid serious confusion among athletes and event organizers and to protect the integrity of the sport. It rejected the accusation in the letter that its regulation enforced gender inequality, saying in response that the rules was introduced precisely because the IAAF is committed to protecting the rights and opportunities of female athletes. In May, Semenya filed an appeal to court after failing to have new IAAF rules overturned, by the Court of Arbitration for Sport. Dorothy Schramm, the lawyer leading Semenya's appeal, added the judge's procedural decision has no impact on appeal itself. He will continue to pursue Caster's appeal and fight for her fundamental human rights. A race is always decided at the finish line.
Just before I check out, let's check out the results in ongoing UEFA Europa League games. Manchester United, of course, are in action at Old Trafford against Real Sociedad. It's goalless at the moment. And, of course, you can join me later at 10:30 p.m. on Fun Zone, where we delve properly into matters of the UEFA Europa League. In the meantime, you can check out myjoyonline.com/sports for more sports news. My name is Hans Mensando. Many thanks for your time.
And that's where we draw the curtains on Joy News Prime. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for watching. For more news, log on to My Joy Online. We have all the updates of the developing stories. To enjoy the rest of your evening.